Today we're going to be taking a look at my journey through everyday carry, specifically when it comes to all the flashlights that I have used over the years, and hopefully this will give you some tips and tricks on how to jumpstart your everyday carry journey in 2024. So we're going to go over all the flashlights that I have here that are still with me and talk about how each one of them led to the next step in my journey of everyday carry flashlights. This video might be a little longer than the typical one that I make, but I hope it gives you some information to help you in your journey of picking an everyday carry flashlight, and we'll talk more about that at the end of the video. Up front, none of these brands of flashlights sponsor me or the channel. I have purchased all of these with my own money or been given them as gifts from family members for holidays, birthdays, different things like that. So we'll start off with the first flashlight I can remember having as a kid was a red mini mag light. I don't know what happened to it. I used to know where it was. I think we got rid of it because it got all seized up. Typical mag light problems where a little piece of sand or dirt would get in the threads on the tail cap and get all seized up and nasty, and you wouldn't be able to open it. The first one I remember that I have with me still is this military style, like World War II Vietnam era angle head army style flashlight. This one's made by Fulton and it's USA made. This one was a gift from my grandfather, and this was a lot of fun when I was a kid to play with because it had that nostalgic military feel. Used to play military games and different things, and this was fun to play with. Has the chest rig clip back here and a hot button where you could press on to use Morse code signaling. Little compartment down here in the bottom that has different colored filters for different signaling purposes. Great flashlight for just starting out, and it was a lot of fun as a kid. And these are pretty durable. The only downside would be that they most of the time come with incandescent bulbs. Can swap that out, but for what it is, first flashlight that I still have with me, military angle head flashlight, and that was a gift from my grandfather, so that has memories tied to it as well. My first LED flashlight was this Blue Dot Trading 1800 lumen tactical zoomable flashlight. It's rechargeable. It came with two 18650 rechargeable batteries. This is your typical tactical Amazon Chinese made flashlight. It costs like $10 or $12. Got your crenulated bezel up at the front for smashing things, and then cycle through your high, low, medium modes, and then your strobe mode. But typical cheap flashlight, and for what it was at the time, set me in the direction of where I am today as far as finding a good carry flashlight. My first actual everyday carry light that was small enough to carry on person every single day is this little infrared tactical zoomable everyday carry flashlight. Got this in like a 2-pack for $20 on Amazon. I don't remember how many lumens this is, but it's got your typical high, low, strobe settings. I carried this one for quite a while, as you can tell by the patina on there. Looks kind of cool. Carried it in the same pocket as my knife, and it would rub as I moved throughout the day, and that's why it has a really nice patina on there. The only thing I didn't like at the time about this light was that, one, you know, typical with these cheap lights, they're pretty floody, and you do have the ability to zoom and make a better hotspot, but it's still just not that bright. Aside from the typical, you know, not bright enough issue, it's just a little bit too big around. Lengthwise, it's great for carrying, right? But circumference-wise, it's pretty much the same size as that Blue Dot Trading light. So the infrared light was kind of a catapult to jump me to the next section in my everyday carry journey, where I was looking for a light that was small and compact and fit in the pocket really well, but still put out a large amount of light. This is where we get to this little Pocket Man flashlight. This came in like a 10-pack on Amazon for like $12 or $15, where you got 10 of these little flashlights. I don't remember how many lumens it is, but at the time it was a little bit better than this one because obviously we got shorter and we got slimmer. However, quality wise, you know, it costs a couple dollars when you do the breakdown, so not over the top great. However, it still had some pretty good features. I mean, you got that crenulated tactical bezel on there. Pocket clip isn't all that great. It's kind of rough around the edges, kind of catches on stuff in your pocket or almost rips your pocket when you put it in there. I will say for this light though, despite it being cheap, it did survive a 20-foot drop from the top of a ham radio tower that I was working on. Dropped it by accident, boom, all the way to the ground, kaboom, it turned off, climbed down the tower, turned it back on, worked just fine. Despite the fact that it was super cheap and isn't that great in the grand scheme of things, at the time, that was pretty impressive for me to see, and it led me to the next step of my journey. I was still on the budget kick, didn't have a lot of money, didn't really want to spend a lot of money because spending $50 to $90 on a flashlight seemed like an excessive waste of money, and you know, I'll leave that up to you whether it is or not. We'll get to that later in the video. I even tried out one of these free flashlights from Harbor Freight where you go buy something, you take the little coupon from your local newspaper in, and you get a flashlight for free when you make a purchase at Harbor Freight. It was an okay flashlight. I mean, size-wise, it's decent for carrying. However, oh look, it came on. Hello there. Battery is kind of going bad, but for what it was, okay for carrying. It just didn't have a pocket clip or anything. But price point at the time was kind of nice. I did make a video on that flashlight. Now, also in this time period, I got a pack that had like a pocket knife and a flashlight and this headlamp. This is just a mossy oak, just cheap headlamp. I do like the headband on this one because it does have the over the top and everything. Fit really good. Not super great or anything, but first headlamp during that time period. Of course, about this time I began to do more research, watch more videos, sensible prepper, everyday tactical vids, different survival and preparedness channels, looking to see what other guys were carrying in their pockets and seeing what I could get for a higher quality flashlight that would maybe put out a little more light, still be small enough and compact to carry on a daily basis. I noticed during this time period a lot of guys, I'm talking like the whole entire internet, at least what I saw of it, was really into Olight flashlights. I began to research and look for an affordable Olight option. I didn't want to spend $50 to $90 on a flashlight. I wanted something that was $20 to $30 and that would still do good for everyday carry. So my first budget Olight that I picked up during this time period was the Olight i3T EOS. And while this flashlight isn't super bright or anything, I would say this was a turning point in my everyday carry journey. I made a video about this flashlight. It's a great little flashlight for what it is. $20, $25. Good flashlight, tail switch, and yeah, nothing super complex, but really good quality for what it is. The only problem I had at the time with this flashlight was the fact that one, it didn't put out quite as much light as I really wanted, and then it would come on in my pocket because of the tail switch when I'd bend over or whatever, bump into it or bump up into something, look down, oh, my pocket is glowing because the flashlight came on. Fairly impressed with the light. I liked it for the price. I thought it was pretty good. The only downside being, like I said, it would come on in my pocket, but I really wanted something that was just a little bit brighter, a little bit bigger, not too much bigger, but a little bit bigger, and would be like the sweet spot, like the perfection of everyday carry. Again, more research, more YouTube video watching, and I ultimately decided that based on the reviews that I saw, that the Olight S2R Baton 2 must be the perfect everyday carry flashlight. So I began to tell my family, look, this is one of the things I would like for Christmas. This is this flashlight or whatever. So that Christmas, I got my first Olight S2R Baton 2. Carried that flashlight for about 3 years, and then I went for a hike during the spring of 2022, and lo and behold, the flashlight fell out of my pocket and is forever lost in the annals of time. I went back to the location multiple times to look for the flashlight, to no avail. So somebody found themselves a really nice flashlight on the ground. So if you're watching this video, I hope you enjoy that flashlight. Really liked the Olight S2R Baton 2 and couldn't live without it, so a couple months later I did ultimately purchase my second S2R Baton 2, which I've had for about 2 or 3 years now as well, and this is one of the lights that remains at the top of my everyday carry rotation. One of the best lights for the price, I think. Got your different modes, 1150 lumens on turbo, great little pocket clip, magnetic tail cap, which is great because if you're outside a lot or working on things a lot like I am, you can stick it to the hood of your car or to whatever you're working on, and it's great. And it also has the integrated charging in that magnetic tail cap with Olight's little cable here. So great flashlight. Is it expensive? Yes, but I would say it is worth it. Around the time I got my first S2R Baton 2, Olight released the original Warrior Mini. At first I was not a fan of the light, however after watching a couple videos over time, about a year or two later, I was like, you know what, I really wished I bought one of those lights when it came out. Began searching, of course, at that point they were pulled off the market. You couldn't get them anymore. Tim over at Everyday Tactical Vids had one that he wanted to get rid of, so he sent it my way. So I am very appreciative of that. This is the Warrior Mini original design that I got from Tim, and the unique thing about the Warrior Mini is that it is more of a tactical carry light. You have some texturing on the bezel for hitting things. You have your typical side switch power options, standard O light, great little pocket clip. And then their new feature on this one was, instead of having just the side switch, it also has a tail switch as well. The nice thing about this light is that you have the ability to go from just normal light to turbo mode in a split second. I carried this light for a short amount of time. It's a good light. I like it. Right now it is my nightstand emergency light. So I'll have this set on like the 5 lumen mode so I can get up in the night and use it to get around the house. But if something goes crash bang in the night and I need to get up and take care of things, I can just hammer that tail switch and get like a ton of light really, really fast. So that's the thing I like about that one. It's a really good flashlight. And in case you're wondering why they pulled that light from the market, there was reports of people who had the tail switch cause the light to come on in their pocket and catch fire because they weren't paying enough attention, which of course doesn't sound like a very good thing, but I carried that one long enough that I never really had it come on in my pocket, so I'm not exactly sure what the whole deal with that was. So in my mind, this is still one of the better designs Olight has come out with. They replaced it with another Warrior version, but it's a little bit longer, a little bit bigger around, a bunch of stuff that makes it not so great for everyday carry. Around this time, I also tried out the PowerTac E12, which is definitely quality, just a little bit too bulky for everyday carry for me, especially to carry it on a daily basis. It is now my truck light. It lives in the center console of my truck, so whenever I need a light when I'm in the truck, try and use that one if I don't have another flashlight on me. I'm not sure I would buy it again, but for what it is a pretty quality light. Of course, after that, I got the Olight Baton 3 Pro as a Christmas gift. This is definitely my second most carried flashlight right now. I rotate between the S2R Baton 2 and the Baton 3 Pro. Pretty much the same size, little smidgen bigger on the Baton 3 Pro, a little bit brighter, and then the pocket clip is way, way bigger and stiffer. So a couple upgrades, but overall pretty much the same flashlight still. It is expensive. It's about $90. Right now the S2R Baton 2 is around $75 to $80, so they're not cheap. They are pretty good lights. I also picked up this last spring the Maglite XL50. It's kind of got some modes, but it's kind of hard to figure out. So basically it's on off and you have light, which is good. It came with a giant plastic pocket clip you can put on it, and then a little rubber cap with some different color filters. There's like red, green, and blue filters that you can put in there, so you have the ability to use filtered light for whatever you need that for. I also did want a headlamp this last summer that was better than this one, and so I wound up getting the Olight Prune Mini 2. Definitely a good headlamp option. I think my favorite feature is the red light, which is one of the main reasons I got it, because I was working at night a lot and I needed to have my night vision intact while I was working. So you still have your typical Olight menu of your different light modes, and then you have your red as well, which is a nice feature. Battery life isn't the greatest on it, but it is that same Olight magnetic tail cap and rechargeable thing that you can do all with that same cord that will charge all 4 of the big Olights minus the i3T EOS. For me, these Olights have been ultimately the best carry lights for what I do and continue to do. Olight does make a lot of crap. I'm not afraid to say that. They release new products pretty much every week, and a good majority of them are junk from what I have seen. Reviews are always positive because they do send lights to people to test out. Overall, the Olight S2R Baton 2, S1R Baton 2, the Warrior Mini that I have, the Baton 3 Pro, and the headlamp that I have, the Prune Mini, have all been great. They've never let me down. Some of the new ones that Olight has come out with, they do tend to get cheaper quality with time. The second S2R Baton 2 that I have here does feel a little bit different than the first one, a little bit less quality wise, but it's still high enough that I'm okay with paying $70 for the flashlight. I think some of it is convenience of use, the cost of convenience. Yes, it costs more, but it's way easier to use and figure out long-term wise. It's rechargeable. stuff that a lot of these other lights don't have. For example, if we compare one of these cheap lights to, say, one of these Olight ones, the Olight, in most cases, except for 1 or 2 settings, if you turn it off on that one setting, it'll come back onto that setting. Whereas if you use this cheap flashlight, you turn it on and turn it off, it'll automatically step down to area in the menu. So you'll turn it on and use it on the bright mode, turn it off, and then it'll come back on when you turn it on again at the dim mode or the strobe mode. So when you're shutting this off, you kind of have to cycle through all the modes and then turn it off so that you can get the bright light again when you turn it on. Which, when you compare it to something like an Olight where you just double tap and you have turbo mode, or you just press and hold the cycle through, it's really a no-brainer. It's way easier to use the more expensive flashlight, so the cost of convenience kind of plays into all this as well. I know this was a longer video. All this being said, kind of the point of this video was I spent a lot of time and money with all these cheap flashlights down here, and for where I was at the time, they worked. However, that being said, if you want to jumpstart your everyday carry journey in 2024, start out with a more expensive flashlight. I would recommend, if you want just an all-around carry light, pick up the S2R Baton 2 or the Baton 3 Pro, and if you want a headlamp, the Perun Mini or just the regular Perun one are both good options. Not sponsored by any of the flashlight companies that I've shown you. Purchased all of them with my own money or been given them by family members. I would say, as much as it pains me to spend $70 to $90 on a flashlight, it is worth it for what you get out of it. The amount of time and money that was spent on all these over here could have been put towards getting S2R Baton 2 or something along that line sooner, which would have jumped me a couple years ahead in my journey and would have given me better quality gear at the time. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful and learned something from it. If you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Smash that like button 2024 style if you're into that sort of thing. Share this video with a friend. Be sure to leave us a comment down below. If you're new here, please consider clicking subscribe. We try and make a new video every week. As always, stay safe, and we'll catch you on the next video.